Very good morning to one and all. Previous class లోని మనం మిడ్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ మోడల్ పేపర్స్ చూస్తున్నాను. మిడ్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ మోడల్ పేపర్స్ లోని now we are discussing about why the natural rubber needs compounding. When we are discussing about the natural rubber needs compounding. The natural rubber which needs compounding. The reason we have to discuss is nothing but what is the difference between natural rubber compared to synthetic rubber. Natural rubber which is extracted from the bark of a rubber tree. Natural rubber is known to be that polycis isoprene. Natural rubber is known to be that polycis isoprene. Natural rubber containing milk-like colloid material, milk-like colloid liquid. The milk-like colloid liquid, what we are saying as, you see here, what we are saying is latex. The natural rubber containing colloidal solution, natural rubber containing rubber milk. The rubber milk, what we are saying as a colloidal-like rubber milk, it is known to be that latex. Now the question is why the natural rubber needs compounding. And before going to that, the natural rubber compounding method, let me explain what is known to be natural rubber in the next continuation and how we are doing the compounding process the natural rubber. Step by step chuddana. You see here, what is known to be that a natural rubber. When we are discussing about that natural rubber is known to be that 2-methyl-1,3-butadiene. 2-methyl-1,3-butadiene is known to be that natural rubber. Natural rubber containing the monomeric unit, and the monomeric unit is known to be that isoprene. I'm repeating. Natural rubber which contain in the monomeric unit, the monomeric unit is known to be isoprene, and those isoprene units are repeated. Those isoprene units are repeated in the natural rubber. The natural rubber containing about 1.5 lakh to 3 lakh. About 1.5 lakh to 3 lakh monomeric repeated units. The repeated monomeric units present in the natural rubber is known to be that 2-methyl-1,3-butadiene. Now, what is the drawback of natural rubber? When we are discussing about the natural rubber containing the following properties are the drawback. When we are discussing about the properties and as well as the drawbacks of natural rubber, the natural rubber containing the following drawbacks, we will see one by one. Natural rubber becomes soft and sticky when it is heated to the high temperature. That means that natural rubber containing less thermal resistance. Natural rubber containing less thermal resistance. It becomes hard and brittle when it is treated with the lower temperature. So natural rubber which doesn't have the temperature resistance, which is not resistant to the temperature, when we are increasing the temperature, then what will happen? When we are increasing the temperature, natural rubber is converted to give the soft and sticky. When we are decreasing the temperature, the natural rubber become hard and as well as a brittle. Next, natural rubber which containing less soil resistant. When we are discussing about the natural rubber containing less soil resistant. It swells up in oils. Next, it has the more water absorption property. The word water absorption capacity indicating that natural rubber containing the less water resistance. I'm repeating again. Okay, natural rubber containing less water resistance. When we are discussing about the natural rubber which cannot withstand the temperature below 10 degrees centigrade, the temperature above 10 degrees centigrade. Above temperature 10 degrees centigrade, higher temperature, below 10 indicating that lower temperature. Now, when we are varying the temperature, then what will happen? When we are varying the temperature is varies from less than 10 degrees centigrade to that more than 40 degrees centigrade. At higher temperature, it becomes soft and sticky. At the lower temperature, it becomes hard and brittle nature. So there is a drawback. That means that the natural rubber having the change in the structure by varying the temperature, indicating that natural rubber containing the less thermal resistant, natural rubber containing the less water resistant, and the natural rubber containing the less soil resistant. I'm repeating. Natural rubber containing less thermal resistant, less water resistant, and as well as less soil resistant. When we are discussing about the natural rubber containing the less resistance towards acids and bases. I'm repeating. Natural rubber containing the less resistance towards the chemicals, and those chemicals are acids and bases. When we are treating with the hydrochloric acid is treated with the natural rubber. Natural rubber containing the low chemical resistance, which containing that low chemical resistance. That means that when the chemicals are added to the natural rubber, the rubber properties are completely diminished. So we'll see once again. Natural rubber containing less thermal resistance, natural rubber containing less soil resistant, natural rubber containing less water resistant, Natural rubber containing less chemical resistance. Now, what is known to be the natural rubber? Natural rubber which is extracted from bark of a rubber tree. It is extracted from bark of a rubber tree. The milk of Hevea brasiliensis. It is also known to be that latex. The latex is extracted from bark of a rubber tree. Natural rubber is nothing but the chemical name when we're discussing about the natural rubber is known to be that 2-methyl-1,3-butadiene. The chemical name will be 2-methyl-1,3-butadiene. Now, let me see what is the process of compounding, right? The compounding is a process where a low property of rubber is converted to give the high property of rubber. A low property of rubber is converted to give the high property of rubber. The compounding is a method. Compounding agents are added. Number 1 is filler is added. Number 2, vulcanizing agents are added. Number 3, accelerators are added. Number 4, coloring agent. Number 5, antioxidant agent. Number 6 is known to be the plasticizers. When these additives are added to the natural rubber, a low property of natural rubber is converted to give high property of rubber. The process what we are saying is compounding. I'm repeating. Compounding is a method where the low property of rubber is converted to give high property of rubber. Let me tell you the compounding agents. Number 1 is known to be the filler. Number 2 is known to be the vulcanizing agent. Number 3 is known to be the accelerators. Number 4 is known to be the coloring agent. Number 5 is known to be the antioxidant. Number 6 is known to be the plasticizers. When these additives are added to the natural rubber, then what will happen? The low property of natural rubber is converted to give the high property of natural rubber. Let me see one by one. What is known to be the filler? When we are discussing about the fillers are known to be the composite. Fillers are known to be the chemicals like zinc oxide, the chemicals like carbon black. When zinc oxide and the carbon black are added to the natural rubber, then what will happen? The property of natural rubber will be increased. Then what is known to be the vulcanizing agent? Vulcanization is a process where the sulfur is added. Sulfur in the form of sulfur chloride, sulfur in the form of hydrogen sulfide, which is added at 140 degrees centigrade temperature. Point examination frequent what is known to be that vulcanization or vulcanizing agent. Vulcanization is a process where an amorphous rubber is converted to give a crystalline rubber. Low strength rubber is converted to give high strength rubber. Less properties of rubber is converted to give the high property of rubber. Vulcanization is a process where we are adding sulfur to the natural rubber. I'm repeating. Now, when we are adding the sulfur to the natural rubber, now when the raw rubber should be added with the sulfur, then what will happen? The property of rubber should be increases. The process what we are saying is vulcanization. The process should be done at a particular temperature. The entire process should be done at 140 degrees centigrade temperature. It is known to be that vulcanization process. It is also known to be a part of compounding. And the compounding is a process where, I'm repeating, compounding is a process where the low property of rubber is converted to give high property of rubber. Compounding is a method where we are adding some chemicals, the chemicals are added to the rubber. That means that when these chemicals are added to the rubber, the properties of rubber should be increases. Physical, chemical, mechanical properties of rubber should be increases. Next. The third additive when we are adding is known to be the accelerators. Accelerators are nothing but the catalyst. And those catalysts, when they are added to the rubber, which increase in the polymerization process and which increase in the product formation, you see here, the catalyst used in that compounding process of natural rubber is known to be the zinc oxide, magnesium oxide, and lead oxide. The fourth classification when we are discussing is known to be the coloring agent. I will tell you what is known to be the coloring agent. The coloring agents are added to the natural rubber. The coloring agents increases the color property of the natural rubber. The best example when you're taking titanium oxide containing the white color, iron chloride gives rise to the red color, chromium oxide gives rise to the black color. I'm repeating. Now, titanium oxide gives rise to the white color, ferric chloride gives rise to red color, and chromium oxide gives rise to that carbon black color. Then what is known to be the antioxidants? Antioxidants like organic amines and phenolic resins are phosphate substances. I'm repeating. Antioxidants like organic amines, phenolic resins, and phosphate substances, they are added to the natural rubber. When these antioxidants are added to the rubber, a low property of rubber can be converted to give the high property of rubber. That means that the resultant rubber containing excellent oxidation resistant property. Let me tell you the last additive. The last additive, what we're saying is the plasticizers. When the plasticizers are added to the natural rubber, then plasticizers like vegetable oil, waxes, and resins. When the vegetable oil, waxes, and the resins are added to the natural rubber, then what will happen? The low property of rubber is converted to the high property of rubber, and the rubber containing the maximum plasticity. What is known to be the plasticity? The word with plasticity indicating that the molding property. The molding property of rubber is increases. The flexibility of rubber is increases by the addition of the plasticizers. Plasticizers, best example, what we are saying as vegetable oil and as well as fats and as well as resin. You see here. Compounding is a method where the low property of rubber can be converted to give the high property of rubber. Number one is known to be a filler. Number two is known to be vulcanizing agent. Number three is known to be the taxolators. Number four is known to be the coloring agent. Number five is known to be antioxidant. And number six is known to be that. Number six is known to be that plasticizers. Okay. Next. Let me tell you what is known to be that vulcanization. The process is very, very important. Examination lo continuous 7 marks istunnaru jaatkeranడి. I will tell you what is known to be the vulcanization. Vulcanization is a process where the sulfur is added to the natural rubber. Sulfur is added to natural rubber at 120 to 140 degrees centigrade temperature. Then what will happen? Sulfur which is embedded with the natural rubber. Sulfur which is embedded with the natural rubber. When the sulfur is combined with the natural rubber and the natural rubber is converted to give vulcanized rubber. And the natural rubber is converted to give vulcanized rubber. When the natural rubber combined to form a vulcanized rubber and the vulcanized rubber which containing the sulfur, geometry will be changes, right? The geometry is a crystalline geometry. The geometry will be a three-dimensional geometry and the geometry containing the higher crystallinity and as well as higher rigidity. You see here, in the left hand side, you are taking the natural rubber, right? What is this? This is natural rubber. This is poly 1,4 isoprene, right? 2-methyl 1,3-butadiene is known to be isoprene. Cis poly 1,4 isoprene. Cis poly 1,4 isoprene. Cis poly 1,4 isoprene, what we are saying is natural rubber. To the natural rubber, we are adding sulfur, right? To the natural rubber, we are adding sulfur. Sulfur which is added at 120 to 140 degrees centigrade temperature, then what will happen? Sulfur is added to the natural rubber. Sulfur is added to the natural rubber. When the sulfur is added to the natural rubber, then what will happen? When the sulfurs are added to the natural rubber containing coiled geometry, natural rubber containing amorphous geometry, the coiled amorphous geometry is converting into the crystalline cross-chain geometry, which is converting into cross-chain polymers and as well as the crystalline polymer. The process what we are saying is vulcanization. Vulcanization is a process where we are adding a chemical like sulfur, chemical like hydrogen sulfide, the chemical like S2Cl2. They were added to the rubber at 120 to 140 degrees centigrade in the carbon dioxide atmosphere. Then what will happen? The resultant process what we are saying is a vulcanization. And the vulcanization is a process where when the sulfur containing compounds are added to the double bond, it can able to form a cross-chain linkages. It can able to form cross-chain linkages, which impact in the mechanical strength to the rubber, which impact in the brittleness to the rubber. Then the percentage of sulfur which is added to that natural rubber is known to be that 0.5 to 35%. If the sulfur containing about 32% of rubber, I'm repeating, if the natural rubber containing about 32% of sulfur. Now, when we're discussing about vulcanized rubber, in the vulcanization process, if the natural rubber containing about 32% of sulfur, it is known to be ibnite rubber or the hard rubber. Point గుర్తుంచుకోనా examination లో మీకు మిడ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ అడుగుతున్నాడు. What is known to be the ibnite rubber? Ibnite rubber containing about 32% of sulfur, and rubber ties containing mostly 3 to 5% of sulfur, or it is 30 to 35% of sulfur, and the battery cases which containing about 30% of sulfur. Point ఒకసారి మీరు చెక్ చేసుకున్నాను. This is 30 to 35. Now, can we go through the question once? ఎగ్జామినేషన్ లో మనం ప్రీవియస్ క్వశ్చన్స్ చూస్తామండి. ప్రీవియస్ క్వశ్చన్ లో చూడండి ఒకసారి. ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఎలా ఇచ్చాడు? Why does natural rubber needs compounding? You should know about the natural rubber. Natural rubber is extracted from the bark of a rubber tree. We need to be identified the drawbacks of natural rubber. The next thing we need to be know about what is known to be a compounding method. By the compounding method, when we are adding the sulfur to the natural rubber containing a two-dimensional geometry, and the sulfur containing vulcanized rubber. The sulfur containing vulcanized rubber containing a three-dimensional geometry. Okay. Next, the next question we are discussing is nothing but describe compression and blow filling molding methods in detail. I will tell you what is known to be the compression and as well as the blow filling molding method. You see here. We are discussing about the compression and the blow filling molding method. Both of the methods are known to be that molding process. మనం ఆల్రెడీ ప్రీవియస్ క్లాస్ మనం డిస్కస్ చేసాం. Molding is the process where the raw articles are converted to give, where the raw article is converted to give, the raw material is converted to give a shape. Molding is the process where the plastic is converting into desired shape. Now, we can have the different types of the molding process, which is frequently asking in the previous examination. The first molding process, what we are saying is injection molding process. Number 2 is known to be the compression molding. Number 3 is transfer molding. Number 4 is nothing but extrusion molding. Number 5 is known to be the blow film molding process, right? Now, just let me explain what is known to be a blow film molding process, right? Let me tell you the blow film molding process. When we're discussing about the blow film molding process, in the blow film molding process, the method is used for that molding of hollow type plastic. I'm repeating, just like bottle type plastic. The method is very useful to prepare hollow type plastic. The method is very useful to prepare bottle like plastic. The compounding powder, what we are saying is thermoplastic material, and those thermoplastics are known to be that LDP. Thermoplastics are known to be that LDP. The low plastics are known to be that lower density plastics. When the low density plastics are heated to high temperature, low density plastics are converting into the molten state. Then the molten plastic which is treated with that hot air. I'm repeating. The molten plastic should be treated with that hot air. Then what will happen? Plastic will be expanded. The plastic will be expanded. And the plastic will be expanded like a plastic filament. I'm repeating. Plastic will expand it like a plastic filament. And the plastic filaments, the shape is nothing but a bottle shape. The shape we are seeing that the shape is known to be that a bottle shape. Now see here. Initially we are taking thermoplastic and thermoplastics of lower density. Thermoplastics like polythene, polyvinyl chloride, polystyrene, polyethylene terephthalate, PET. Now, initially you are taking a low density polyethylene material, low density thermoplastic material, and the low density thermoplastics are treated at higher temperature. Then they are converting into the molten state. Low density plastic which is converting into the molten state. The low density molten plastic, now it is treated with that hot air. It should be treated with that hot air. Then what will happen? When it is treated with that hot air, the plastic will be expanded like a film. When the plastic will be expanded like a film, the mold which containing a definite shape, the shape of the plastic is nothing but a bottle shape. The shape of the plastic will be a cover. The shape of the plastic will be any definite article. Any definite shape of the plastic articles can be prepared by using the blow filling molding process. Blow filling molding is a process where we can prepare thin like plastic materials. Okay. Can you see the question again? Now, describe the compression molding and as well as blow filling molding process. We are discussing about blow filling molding process. Let me tell you what is known to be that compression molding process. When we are discussing about the compression molding process which containing two mold halves. When we are discussing about the compression molding process, and the compression molding process which containing the two halves, one should be upper mold half and there should be that lower mold half. When the upper and the lower mold halves are connected with that azitarpin, which is connected with that azitarpin, this is known to be the azitarpin. In between, I would like to place raw plastic material. I'm repeating. In between, I would like to place raw plastic material. In between, I'm placing a thermo or thermoset plastic material. Okay. The method which is used for both thermoplastics and as well as thermosetting plastic. I can keep thermoplastic or thermosetting plastic. In between, I'm placing thermo or thermosetting plastic. Now, it should be heated to a higher temperature. And before heating the process, just I would like to apply the pressure in counter side. Okay. The word the counter side indicating that, and the both sides are applying pressure. What we are saying is mechanical pressing. When we are applying the mechanical pressing, then what will happen here? In between, you are placing the plastic will be squeezed. Now I would like to increase the temperature. When we are increasing the temperature, then what will happen? Then when we are increasing the temperature, now the plastic is converted to the molten state. Plastic which is converting into the molten state. That means that when we are taking the solid plastic and the solid plastic is heated to the higher temperature by applying temperature followed by the pressure, solid plastic is converted to give the molten plastic, and the molten plastic, the shape becomes U-shaped. You see here, the shape is known to be that U-shaped. Now we are getting a U-shaped plastic article, right? And here we are getting a U-shaped plastic article. Let me tell you once again that what is known to be compression molding process. In the compression molding process, compression mold is of two main sets. Number one is known to be the upper mold half. Number two is known to be that lower mold half. In between the upper and the lower mold half, I would like to place a raw plastic. I would like to place a raw plastic. Raw plastic is nothing but a thermoplastic or thermoset plastic. When thermoset plastic, which is placed in between upper mold half and as well as lower mold half, then what will happen? Now, when thermoset plastic is placed in between upper and the lower mold half, just I would like to apply the mechanical pressing. Just I would like to apply the mechanical pressing. When we are applying the mechanical pressing, the plastic will be squeezed. Plastic will be squeezed. Now the plastic is converting into a U-shaped material, right? Now, the plastic is squeezed into the U-shaped material. Next condition, I would like to increase the higher temperature. When the plastic is heated to the high temperature, now the plastic is converting into the molten state. Plastic which is converting into that molten state. Initially, you're taking the plastic as a solid state. When it is heated to the higher temperature, the plastic is converting into the molten state. Molten plastic which is squeezed with the application of the mechanical pressing. Mechanical pressing is nothing but an application which is applied, the pressure is applied on the both sides. When the two halves are combined with each other, when the upper half is combined with the lower half, then what will happen? In between we are placing the plastic which is squeezed. The plastic which is squeezed. After the process of the molding, after the molding process is completed, just I would like to separate the two halves, the upper and as well as lower mold half. The upper and the lower mold half both will be separated with the help of azitarpine. Just I would like to apply azitarpine. Just I'm applying the azitarpine. Just I'm separating the upper half and as well as lower half. When the upper and the lower mold halves will be separated, when they are separated, in between we can have a plastic, the plastic containing U-shaped particle. In between we are getting a plastic, the plastic which containing U-shaped material. It's not to be the U-shaped particle. The process what we are saying is a compression molding process. Let me tell you what is known to be compression molding process. In the compression molding process, you are taking thermo and thermoset plastic. Okay, the plastic which is converting into definite shapes by using upper and as well as lower mold half. When we are applying the higher pressure followed by the higher temperature, there is a possibility of curing temperature. The curing temperature is nothing but where the solid plastic is converting into the molten state. At the curing temperature condition, plastic is converting into an article. The process where we are preparing handle-like article, cylinder-like article, or hangers-like article, less number of plastical articles are prepared with the help of the compression molding process. Now, let's see the next continuation here, mid-model. We are discussing about set number 4, homogeneous heterogeneous polymerization method. Next one is known to be the mechanical properties of polymers. When we are discussing about methods of polymerization of two main classification. Number one is known to be that homogeneous polymerization. Number two is known to be that heterogeneous polymerization. See here. Homogeneous polymerization method is known to be that number one, solution polymerization. Number two, bulk polymerization. Emulsion polymerization when we are discussing. Heterogeneous polymerization when we are discussing. Heterogeneous polymerization of again two classification. Number one is known to be that emulsion polymerization. Number two is known to be that suspension polymerization. Homogeneous polymerization, solution polymerization, bulk polymerization, heterogeneous polymerization, emulsion polymerization, and suspension polymerization. What is the difference between homogeneous and as well as heterogeneous? When we are adding the two monomers with the solvent, when we are adding the two monomers with a suitable solvent, the two monomers are when we're taking a monomer 1 and as well as the monomer 2, the process what we're saying is polymerization. During the polymerization process, we are adding a solvent. The solvent of two classification. One should be an organic solvent. Number two is known to be aqueous solvent. Along with the solvent, we are adding an initiator and also we are adding a stabilizer. Okay. Now, when we are adding a solvent to the monomer 1 and as well as the monomer 2. The solvent and the monomer 1, monomer 2, they are in the soluble state. The soluble state indicating that homogeneous character, insoluble state indicating that heterogeneous character. జాగ్రత్తగా వినాలండి. Monomer 1, monomer 2 కి మీరు solvent యాడ్ చేయండి during the polymerization process. When we are adding the solvent to the monomer 1 as well as monomer 2, the extent of the solubility is nothing but a complete miscible condition indicating that homogeneous polymerization and immiscible condition indicating that heterogeneous condition. Okay, soluble and insoluble. Now, the resultant solubility, the extent of solubility is based on their precipitation. Now, when the two monomers combine with each other, they can soluble with each other. Resultant, we are getting a polymer as a precipitate. And the process, what we are saying as the two main classification. The first classification is known to be a solution polymerization. Number 2 is known to be that bulk polymerization. Let me tell you what is known to be the heterogeneous polymerization method. When we are discussing about heterogeneous polymerization method is again two classification. Number 1 is known to be emulsion polymerization. Number 2 is known to be that suspension polymerization. Number 1 is known to be emulsion. Number 2 is known to be that suspension polymerization. In the emulsion polymerization, we are taking the monomers in the aqueous phase. The monomer solutions are added with that a fine droplets of aqueous phase. Aqueous phase indicating that water solvent. Aqueous phase indicating that water solvent. So the resultant solution containing heterogeneous character, the resultant solution containing insolubility character. Then in both cases, we are getting the high molecular weight precipitate. In both cases, we are getting